Hi, Kristin here, and welcome to my channel, From Chronic Fatigue to Chronic Abundance. This is our weekly Thursday live Q&A where I am here to answer all of your questions having to do with living with severe chronic fatigue as a symptom, regardless of the cause of your severe chronic fatigue, whether you are diagnosed with ME/CFS or hypothyroidism or Lyme's disease, or you don't have a diagnosis or it's something else. Living with severe chronic fatigue as a symptom presents its own immense challenges to life. And I'm here to help you guys with the mindset piece of that and the emotional side of that. First up, I want to say hi, Raf. So glad you're here. I know I'm still saying your name wrong. Would you tell me how to say your name? I want to know. And I love that you're laughing. That's so good and so healthy and so restorative. And hanging out with your legs in the air. That's super, super good actually for people with severe chronic fatigue. Many people don't know this, but when you have your feet elevated, it actually takes less energy. It's actually very calming and restorative because it helps keep our blood, like in our brain and our vital organs, gets rid of that pooling that can happen in our feet and our lower legs. And it can also get us into a really relaxed, parasympathetic dominant state of being. So it's a great thing to do if you have the energy to get your legs in the air and keep them there. So let me drink some of my tea here. Hi, Casey. Yeah, all sorts of like interesting, fun things get shared in here. And then I'll start it because Raf was sharing what he was doing. Yeah, it's a really, really good thing to do. And if you can't get your feet in the air, at the very least, if you're lying down on a bed or a flat surface, if you can just put like a couple pillows or some extra blankets underneath your lower legs and just keep your feet even elevated just a few inches off the bed, that's going to help you too. The more you can elevate your feet, the more benefit you're going to get. But even just getting your feet like 6 inches off the bed, you're going to notice a difference. It's extremely relaxing. In fact, this is so relaxing. It's relaxing for healthy people as well. If you look at a lazy boy recliner, that super, super comfy position that the lazy boy recliner gets you into, your butt is lower than your feet, right? And the more raised your feet are, the more comfortable it is. Like when you go all the way back in those chairs, that's how people can fall asleep in them so easily, because it's such a relaxing, comfortable position to be in, to have your feet as high as or higher than your legs. All right, so Raf says to pronounce his name, use the English European A like bath, or can't pronounce by an English man. Both. So Both. So Roth. Is it Roth? Roth? I feel silly saying that because it's not an English way to pronounce a word. I mean, I should say it's not an American English way to pronounce a word. Roth, Both, man. I'm not sure how the English people say man. Oh, wait, it's closer. Oh, okay. Okay, Roth? Damn, this is going to be hard for me. Roth. I would love to hear more about why the deep tissue massage gave me a crash. I am always loving to hear new ideas on what happened to me. For those of you who don't know, like Casey here, I have been ill with severe chronic fatigue as a symptom on 3 different occasions. Was out of work for a total of about 3 years. It's broken up into different chunks because I was so ill. I recovered and then I would relapse and I would recover and I relapsed again. And my final relapse, the 3rd time I was severely, severely ill, was initiated by a 90-minute deep tissue massage. I was in the middle of my recovery from my first relapse and I was getting a lot better and feeling really great. So I wanted to do something nice for myself and I wanted to give myself this massage. And it's hard to call it a mistake because it would have happened sooner or later probably, but it was still really, really hard to go through yet another relapse when I was just recovering from one. And the doctor I've been working with since then for the past I've been working with this guy for 5 years now. His his educated guess as to what happened to me, based on all the different symptoms that came out of that one massage, is that I am very toxic, meaning my body is not naturally very good at detoxing things that enter my body. And when that happens, the body stores them places. It tends to store them in fatty tissues. Sometimes it stores it in muscle tissues. Sometimes it can store it in like your bone marrow and your brain and all sorts of places. But when I got this 90-minute deep tissue massage, I mean, head to toe, like really working at me, it broke down enough tissue and released enough of these toxins into my bloodstream all at once that it created like a massive problem for me. Within hours, I started to relapse, like full relapse, like mostly housebound again. And it took me months to recover from that. Like that's how severe it was. It wasn't just like a couple days kind of thing. Like it was months of relapse. And in addition to fully relapsing into severe chronic fatigue, it also gave me IBS. I had IBS starting the next day for every day for the next 18 months. The IBS far outlasted the chronic fatigue recovery at that time. So little background for anyone who doesn't know about it. All right, you're gonna write an article. All right, you'll do a post in the Facebook group. That's great. Yeah, when you have the energy, like no rush. Yeah, I'm always open to like new potential insights into what happened because, gosh, it was such a crazy time. And I've gotten massages since then. I slowly reintroduced massages, and I've had them since then. And now I'm fine. Now I can have a massage, no problem. So, going with the detox theory, it seems that during that time, my body did begin. Not only did like the massage itself seem to trigger a release of toxins, but it seemed that my body sustained the toxin release process after that massage happened. And because I started seeing the right doctor, he started me on supplements that support the detox cycles within the body, the detox processes within the body. The citric acid cycle is a really important one in the body for detox. So we really heavily supported that with vitamin C intake, plus a bunch of other supplements. And it seems that I finally started clearing a lot of that stuff that was in me, which is great. Like all this stuff is reversible with the right support. And most doctors don't know how to give the right support. You've really got to find specialists in this area. And one thing I don't think I've shared on here, before I ever started massages again, when I was recovering from my third health crisis, when I was recovering from the massage, I had gotten all my energy back and I was able to start working out again. Now, if I just did like a normal workout, like I went for a long walk, or I would do like, a little bike ride around town or something like that, like I'd be fine. But when I got back into like serious workouts, when I got back into especially heavy weightlifting, the days when I would do really heavy weightlifting, some of my IBS would come back. It was so weird. It would just be like a 12 to 36 hour window after a really hard workout, the IBS would come back and then it would disappear. So the idea that there was a detox issue was kind of supported by that experience, because it seems like when I had a lot of tissue breakdown, like when I was in a really hard workout, your muscles are being torn down and broken during the workout process. And it's the rebuilding of that muscle afterwards when you recover that actually builds your strength. But also this idea that when I was working out the hardest is also when my body could have been breaking down more fatty tissue to extract more energy for myself as I was working out. As it's breaking down the fatty tissue, if there were toxins in the fatty tissue, that could have been dumped into my bloodstream, creating more of those symptoms, and it would just naturally alleviate itself after a little bit of time. And once I noticed this cycle with me working out, I would very consciously work out and give myself a few days in between workouts and try to gauge how hard I was working out against my IBS symptoms. And they seemed pretty solidly correlated to where I could predict when it would start after a heavy workout. And when I could start working out and the IBS symptoms stopped happening, that's when I felt really confident that I had overcome all these detox issues. And that was a time when I began being willing to experiment with like small light doses of massages again. And I had a full body massage, a 60-minute full body massage last year in July. No symptoms whatsoever. Felt amazing that day. Felt amazing the next day. No IBS, like all that stuff that was happening with what seems like detox was fantastic. And there's also this idea that it could have just been like my body wasn't able to detox normal cellular death because it was in such high volumes. Like that's also a detox issue, even if it's not like an external toxin. Like once the cell is dead and the body needs to remove it, it's considered a toxin at that point. And if my body was unable to remove those, it's still an issue. I don't know. I'm getting a little out of my depth on that one. Raf, Boff, Roth. Do I go deeper? Is it Roth? Roth? I wish I could know. I need you to like record it for me and send me a recording of how you say your name, Roth. So I'm saying it appropriately. All right. Casey has a question. Is it healthier to view CFS as something you can get better from and possibly relapse, or as a finite condition that has its highs and lows? So let me give you my take on my journey. The first time I got ill, it was like 1, 2, 3. It's like 3.5 years before I really recovered the first time. It took me 3.5 years from beginning to when I first started getting ill, was ill for a while, left work, went back to work, had to leave work again for a longer period of time, began recovering, and finally got to go back to work. That was like 3.5 years. And the first time I got better, I just assumed it was over. I just assumed, whatever this thing was, I figured it out. I can get on with my life. And I had an amazing year. I had one whole year, almost exactly 1 whole year of having my health back, of working full time again. I went back to work making double what I had made before because I learned the power of just asking for what I want. And sometimes it gets given to you because some people find you that valuable. I was going on trips to see friends and family all the time because I really, really cherished and appreciated those connections when I got better. And like, I was just enjoying myself. I was working out again for 1 full year. And then I relapsed. And there was no real obvious cause for that first relapse. I wasn't expecting it. And to this day, like, I have some theories as to what happened, but like, they're all really loose. So it was hard to relapse again. And I was like, fuck, I'm here again. Shit. But I also had this confidence because I was like, all right, I've been here before. I know what I need to do to heal. And instinctually, I just knew that it wasn't like I needed the same supplements and treatments. I kind of knew that this was a little bit different and I needed different things to heal. So I started looking for new doctors to work with. They did new blood work on me. They found things in me that no one had ever found before. And we started treating me. And within 7 months, I was making a lot of progress. I mean, I was, where it took me like 3.5 years to heal the first time, we were looking at like maybe like less than a year to heal the second time because I knew what to look for. And then what I talk about on this channel is because I had the right mindset. I had the healing mindset that the first time I relapsed, the second time I got sick. I knew how to avoid a lot of those emotional traps we get lost in, where we waste our energy or we lose hope and motivation. I was able to stay out of those, and I was able to stay focused and keep my rare, precious energy going towards my healing journey instead of being wasted on those heavy emotions that don't get us anywhere good. And so I wanted to point out that, let's see. So I wanted to point out that like I had viewed it as something that was over and finite and was never going to happen again. And then I did relapse unexpectedly, and I was recovering from that relapse when I relapsed again due to a massage of all things, right? So at that point, the healing mindset got really, really hard to maintain. I got really demotivated for a while during my second relapse. And man, but I kept going. Like I knew what to do, and I was healing quickly from that as well. So for a while there, even though I'd recovered from this 3 times, I really began to worry that this was something I was going to have to live with forever. I was afraid that my life would just be a heal, relapse, heal, relapse, heal, relapse cycle. And that really isn't life. That isn't much better. It's better than just constantly being ill, but it's not much better than being constantly ill, because I could never plan. I could never feel safe or stable. It just, there were a lot of problems. I still felt like I couldn't plan for the future. I still felt like I was always having to watch out for losing everything important to me again. I was like saving money like a mad woman because I always felt like I didn't know when I was going to need it to heal again. And looking at it as something where you could always still relapse is really hard. I don't think that's a healthy mindset. I think it's realistic to think like, yeah, sure, I could, like, it's possible. Like for me, even now, sure, it's possible something could happen again. It's possible, but I've worked on this hard enough, long enough. I've had the right doctors. I've had so much blood work done. I really have a very good understanding of what's going on in me. And I've developed a very, very deep relationship with my inner self. Like I have a very, very rich inner world now. I didn't used to have a rich inner world, but now I feel all of my emotions, even though it's hard and scary sometimes to feel my emotions. Feeling all of them keeps me aware of things that I'm doing or situations I'm in or times when my body is being overtaxed, and I can step in and prevent myself from getting any worse. Like I know if something starts to feel a little bit off, like I can feel that 1% off now and get ahead of that before it gets to 90% off and my whole life comes crashing down around me. I also still go back for maintenance blood work just to be sure everything's okay over time. And everything continues to improve and get better. Like even I have an autoimmune thyroid condition, Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. And even over time, my antibodies are getting lower and lower, which is a sign that the Hashimoto's, the autoimmune part of it, is starting to slowly go away, which is super cool. Not even a focus of my healing journey, but it's a consequence of all of the healing work I've done to make my body, which is super cool. Not even a focus of my healing journey, but it's a consequence of all of the healing work I've done to make my body going to relapse into severe chronic fatigue anymore. I think I've learned all the lessons I personally needed to learn to avoid that. I know that it's super controversial what causes ME/CFS or a lot of this stuff. But I was never diagnosed formally with ME/CFS, but I had the hallmark symptoms. So there's multiple ways to diagnose. Like there's multiple lists of what is ME/CFS and what isn't. The one controversial thing is that I never had pain. I had all the other symptoms. I didn't have pain. Okay. I definitely had really severe PEM, and like the muscle weakness and the tiredness and the brain fog and POTS. I had all those symptoms. So you just need to know that about my background. For me and my experience, and from what I've seen a lot of other people I talk to, is that for a significant portion of people with severe chronic fatigue diagnosed as ME/CFS or undiagnosed or even into some of these poorly understood like fibromyalgia and whatnot, is that there is a very, very significant autonomic nervous system component to this stuff. And whether or not it's the only cause, like maybe it is the only cause, maybe there are multiple causes, I think it's a very significant part of this. And the autonomic system is made up of our stress response and also our rest and digest response. And the people I know who have healed from ME/CFS, severe chronic fatigue is a symptom, have all massively worked on their nervous system. even if they didn't know they were intentionally doing that. Like at the time, I didn't intentionally know that that's what I was doing. But in retrospect, I began to heal fastest when I learned how to calm down. I learned how to shut down the fight or flight stress response. I learned how to live more in the parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system, the healing nervous system. That's when my own recovery took off each and every time, when I learned how to calm down the stress response side of things. So I think that's a really, really useful part of it. And I think a helpful mindset for living with this is one that leaves you feeling calm. If it makes you feel more calm to think of this as like, this is a condition and it's never really gone and it's always kind of here. And sometimes it's going to be really bad and sometimes it's not going to be so bad. If that makes you feel more calm, then I think you should believe that. And if it feels more calming to you to believe that this is something that you can like leave in the dust, you can get your life back and everything can be amazing. And maybe you'll relapse, maybe you won't. If that makes you feel more calm, I think you should believe that, because honestly, practically, those two realities aren't really different in the way they present themselves to the world. It's just about how you're choosing to view it. So I think you just need to like go with what makes you feel better, because there's no right or wrong here. There's no right or wrong. I understand that like people who do recover, not everyone's going to get to a point like me where they can actually feel super confident that they're not going to relapse. But like I said before, the only reason I feel so confident is because I've recovered 3 times now. I recovered faster each and every time. And I really truly believe that I am so tuned into my body, and I take the messages from my body so seriously that I know when things are starting to go wrong very, very early on, and I go to the doctor and get the blood work and do all the things before things get bad. Because for me, I've found root causes in blood work for almost all of my causes for severe chronic fatigue, which were many. I had many, many, many things going wrong with my body. And there was only one doctor I ever met who tested any of those things. I had plenty of doctors who told me they tested everything. They didn't test everything. They just tested everything they were taught to test. And it's not everything. Get yourself a real doctor who specializes in severe chronic fatigue, who specializes in poorly understood cases in general. Someone who's helped hundreds and thousands of other people like you. They're the ones who know what's up. But now I'm saying Rolf instead of Raph. Raph. I just need a recording. I need to listen to that recording like 20 times so I know how to say it. You struggle with the R sound. You can't pronounce it right either. That's so funny. Ball. I'm going to sit here and just try to guess. I'm going to make a fool of myself. Casey, 100% agree with not feeling safe. It's so hard to navigate life, and you build up an energy safe and you don't want to overdo it. It really, really is. Because we are constantly needing to monitor and be aware of where our energy levels are at. And we're constantly needing to think about, oh, what is that going to take? Is that too much? Is that okay? Like it's a lot of work to manage your energy. It takes a lot of energy to manage your energy. I know. So it does feel very destabilizing and unsafe, because one little tiny mistake, like literally taking one step too many on a bad day, can mean the end. Or for some people, just trying to sit up once can be too much and can mean a crash. And we want to do everything we can to avoid crashes, because every time you crash, we're digging our hole a little bit deeper. We have a deeper hole to dig ourselves out of every time we crash. So avoiding crashes is so important. And it sounds like you know that, Casey. It sounds like you're aware of pacing. Inner work and working on regulating emotions has helped my physical health. Awesome. Yeah, it totally does. And I'm not the only person putting that message out there. There are other people talking about that in big ways, but I don't think it's talked about enough. I think we really need to drive home how much inner work can help us, because our energy is so low to begin with that, normally for a healthy person, I like to use a bank account analogy. if a healthy person wakes up with $10,000 in the bank and that's their energy bank, their energy might take up like $100 a day or $200 a day, which they don't really notice when they wake up with like 10,000 every morning. If they go to bed and $200 from emotions is gone, it's whatever. But if you're like us and you're only waking up with $100 in your bank for energy and emotions are there trying to take 50, like we really feel that. Like that's half our energy for the day gone into emotions. So as we can like learn to manage our energy and save our energy from those heavy emotions that don't do us any good anyway, we really notice the difference. And that's more energy for our bodies to put into healing. And being in those lighter emotions that serve us, that take us good places, also gets us into the parasympathetic dominance and enables our bodies to heal faster. Like it's really like compounding. Like if you're feeling crappy, it's eating up your energy and it's also getting in the way. If you're stressed out, it's getting in the way of your body's ability to heal. So it's like a double whammy. Whereas if we're learning how to live more in those lighter emotions more often, we're saving more energy and we're enabling our bodies to heal more and longer and faster and better and all those things. So like it's a double whammy in either direction. It's so important. Thank you, Casey, for being happy for me. Yeah, I have to do these. It's I have to be here sharing what helped me with other people because I don't see enough people talking about it. And there's so many people looking for answers. And there is no one path to healing from severe chronic fatigue or ME/CFS. If there was one path to healing, we'd have heard about it by now. We'd all be doing it. We'd all be better. Okay. Everyone has a personalized journey. But the one thing that helped me every time I healed was my mindset, the healing mindset. I needed different doctors, different treatments, different supplements, different blood work, and all that stuff each and every time I healed. And I'm only one person. There's no one way to do it for me. There's no one way to do it for everybody. Hi, Jamie. Let's see. Oh, good question. Oh, hi, Lisa. Oh, it's all good. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you showed up and made it. Jamie, too. Let's see. If you had to make a list called Essentials to Recovery and Helpful to Recovery, what would they look like? Oh, this is a big question, and I really have to think about this to give you a complete answer. I think essentials to recovery is the healing mindset, the right mindset, living in the lighter emotions that give us positivity, that get us in the parasympathetic nervous system dominance, the rest and digest and heal state of being would definitely be essential. I would say mindset's not going to heal the vast majority of us. The vast majority of us need a lot more than just mindset to heal. We are going to need the right doctors and treatments and supplements and things to get where we want to go. So I would say in the essential column would also be some sort of practitioner who's done this before, who's helped lots of people like you, hundreds or thousands of people like you before, who can guide you on supplements and treatments and things. I'm intentionally not saying you need a doctor because there are people who are not doctors who do this very well. Also because we can each have different root causes for our health issues. The doctor who was great for me might not be right for you because you might have completely different root causes for your health issues than I had, even if we have the same symptoms. So I think you need someone knowledgeable about healing a body like yours, whether or not that's a doctor. I would say, having some sort of resources is going to be essential. You're going to need, what you need is going to vary. For some people, you're going to need $100,000 in the bank, because that's what your healthcare is going to cost, and what you need to live is going to cost. I mean, thankfully, I didn't need that because I didn't have that. Maybe you need a free place to stay. Maybe you need government support or something. Like, you need resources. And maybe you're so ill that you need someone taking care of you at home part-time. Maybe you need, gosh, I don't know. I'm struggling to come up with a ton of examples here, but like whatever, you need to figure out what those resources are that you need, bare minimum, to stay alive and to heal. Like staying alive isn't enough. Like you need to factor in there the resources you need to get better, because you don't want to just stay where you are. You want to get better. So those have to be factored in. Like, what is that going to cost? And then figuring out a plan to get those met. I shared the story before. The first time I was severely ill, before I was healing, before I had any answers, I had been in a serious relationship at the time. I was living with a guy, and he could be like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, where he could be like the nicest, sweetest, most supportive guy ever, until he got angry. And then he turned into an abusive monster. Like he was very verbally abusive, and he was occasionally physically abusive. And I stayed with that even while I was severely ill. And it was an incredibly hard thing for me to do. But once I woke up enough to leave, I realized that it was going to be extremely hard financially for me. It was going to be hard physically for me to move. I had nowhere to go. I had no plan. I couldn't work. I had a little bit of income because I had launched a business right when I was falling ill the first time. Probably not a coincidence that I fell ill the first time when I was working full time and launching a business and doing CrossFit and doing too much in general. It was my type A personality coming out. But it wasn't enough to live off of. It definitely wasn't enough to like pay for rent and food and healthcare and like everything I needed. So luckily I did have savings. I had savings. I'd been a really good saver at a young age. So like I had a little bit of income, I had savings, and I thankfully had a friend reach out to me right around the time I left this guy and offer a bedroom in her house for me to stay at. So I had a free place to stay because of a very good friend's generosity. And that was about it. Everything else was on me to figure out. So, you've got to figure out what those needs are, and then how you're going to get those needs met. That would go in the essentials column. Let's see. And then nice to have or helpful to recovery. Everything else is helpful. Anything that's not necessary, like that's part of the healing mindset I haven't talked a lot about on here, is that you kind of have to become a really black and white thinker when it comes to what's essential and what's not. Because when you're that ill and things are that dire and you are that needy, there is what's essential for life and for healing, and there's everything else. And everything else doesn't matter. Like literally everything that's non-essential is icing on the cake. And if you get it, great. And if you don't, it's fine, because you're covering your essentials. That was literally the mindset I had gotten into, where, I didn't have like an essentials list at that time. I didn't think of it that way, but I knew I had to just pare away everything that wasn't supporting my health and my healing. And I tell you what, as hard as it was to move, and yes, it was physically hard, and yes, I did crash from it, and yes, it did make me blow through my savings faster. I began to recover around that time, because living with an abusive partner is extremely stressful. Right? And living with a good friend who really, really cares about you is very calming and relaxing and peaceful. And that difference in environment made a tremendous difference in my body. It got me out of constantly being in the stress response, and it got me into very, very often being in the rest and digest and heal response in the body. Right? So I was enabling my body's own innate healing abilities. That wasn't all that I needed, but it helped a ton. So yeah, the helpful list is like, I don't know, I have a hard time even coming up with anything that's like generally helpful other than like, family support, friend support. Like it's really great if you have people in your life around you who are there to support you, but it makes things easier, but you don't need it. And it's also the kind of thing that's really hard to go out and create. So I almost wouldn't want to put that on a list because it's not something everyone has accessible or can create for themselves. Helpful. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of maybe I can still be a big black or white thinker. And maybe this is that coming out in me again, where I just want to say like, there's everything that's essential and that's what you need to heal. And then just like, forget everything else. Everything else is kind of nice to have. Although that isn't true because we've talked about the need for serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, human connection. It's true that those things are very, very helpful and very, very healing to the body. So, all right, you know what? Let me amend my essentials list. I would put some sort of human connection, or at the very least, some sort of like pet connection, an animal in the home that gives you feelings of like closeness and being cared for and caring for someone or something else would go on the essentials list because those things are really important. I don't want to say that they aren't essential because I think that they are. Yeah. So there's, in 10 minutes or whatever I took to think of that off the top of my head, that would be my short essentials list. And I still don't like the idea of a helpful to have list. I don't know, but I'm sure you guys have your own opinions. Like, what has proven helpful to you? Like, what would you guys put on a helpful to have list? Even if you've never recovered, what has helped you personally over the years? Even if it didn't get you all the way there, what helped? Let's see. Oh no, Lisa, your mindset is shot over the coronavirus and you've been in a bad flare. Mindset does play a role. Lisa, what has you so worried? Do you feel like you're at high risk for exposure? What's going on here? Jamie, you're stuck at the moment as to whether to use your extra energy to heal, like AKA resting more when you're well, giving your body a chance to work on healing itself, or whether you should introduce more activity. What do I think? I think you should do a little bit of both. Jamie, if you feel like you're at a point where you could introduce more activity and that's something you would really enjoy and look forward to, I would try to do a 50-50 split. Half the time you have some extra energy, I would be like, okay, I'm going to rest. Resting is really good for me. And when you do a little more activity, try to find as much happiness and joy in that as you can, because happiness and joy are essential to being in the parasympathetic nervous system dominance state, okay? So the more you're enjoying the activity that you're doing and the more you're looking forward to getting to be active, the better it's going to be for your body overall. So yeah, so look for a way to balance that. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both. And just keep everything as happy and exciting as you can while keeping it within your energy envelope. I think that would be great, I want to say your name, Rolf. I know I'm probably saying Rolf. I'm going to say Rolf. I used to say Raf. You told me that's wrong. I'm going to say Rolf because you said that was closer. But then you said it sounded like Rolf, like with an O. I don't know. Okay. Rolf. You had a panic attack. You avoided the news and now you're okay. You know what? I do the same thing. I hardly ever look at the news because it does just stress me out and I don't feel like I can do anything about it. And I kind of leave it up to my social network, my friends and family, to inform me of what's going on in the world because someone will reach out and say something if there's something I need to know. And it's been fine to just live life that way. Sometimes I feel irresponsible and like a real American for being out of touch with the news, but it works for me. It's better for me than the alternative of staying tuned in because you do start to worry about this stuff too much. At least I do. Oh, Jamie, I'm not putting what I'm about to say, I'm not putting on any other woman. I'm not putting on any other person. I'm not saying anyone should feel this way or think this way. But for me, I tolerated it. I got what I tolerated. I said, I love this man. I said, I understand. He has PTSD. I said, I know he doesn't mean it. I excused it. And it happened to me because I chose to stay. And it stopped happening to me once I chose to leave. So, don't pity me. Like, be happy for me that I finally developed enough self-worth and self-care and self-love to choose better for myself and to choose to leave. That's what would feel good for me, is for someone to be happy for me that I chose, that I found those things in myself and chose to go find better. That's how I see it. Only applies to me. Doesn't apply to anybody else. All right, Casey, thank you for being here. Awesome. We do this every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. 1 p.m. Eastern. I don't know where you are or what time it is. Oh, Lisa, you got a hospital super bug, and that's when you developed POTS and things. Okay, so yeah, you're chronically ill over 50 and not doing well mindset. Are you immunocompromised? They are saying it's primarily people who are compromised. I don't know that much about your health history. If you're not immunocompromised, you are sitting better than most people, but they're also finding, I also read that they found out that this is way more devastating to men in China. And it could be because more men smoke in China, but it may just have something to do with our biology. But I mean, honestly, I'm going to put this out there. Silver lining to the big dark stormy cloud of severe chronic fatigue. When you have severe chronic fatigue, you're pretty isolated. And that's a good thing to be when there's a nasty virus going around, because you're not nearly as in contact with as many people as you could be otherwise, So like you're a little more limited in your exposure to it than, let's say, the average person. Like, even if you live with someone who works and like is out and getting exposed to things, sure, they could bring it home, but you're still at less risk than if you were also out in the world all the time and also potentially bringing it home. So tiny silver lining of being slightly isolated. Let's see. Actually, there's this MECFS like comic relief group I'm a part of. What was it? Somebody posted a joke in there the other day, a meme in there the other day. And, it's like a news bulletin says, we're warning everybody to stay inside for at least 2 weeks if you get the virus, to avoid contaminating other people. And like all these people are like, oh my God, 2 weeks. And they have a person at the bottom, like CFS person is like, 2 weeks, psh, I got this. Like, like that's a hard thing to do when it's many people's lives. Probably not as funny when I explain it. Sorry. Let's see. Okay, Lisa was recently at an international airport and you're going back. Oh, you're going to fly from an international airport in May. Well, I'm glad you're going back to Florida, but maybe it is worth rethinking a flight to Florida if this coronavirus is still going around in May and it's something you're worried about. And I know it would be really, really unfortunate to miss out on a vacation, but would you rather miss out on a vacation or potentially get coronavirus? You got to weigh your options there. I mean, who knows? By May, this whole thing could be over. They keep saying that in warmer months, sometimes these things tend to disappear and dissipate and not be such a big issue. Is that true? I don't know. We'll have to see. I was reading that there's a major airline that is allowing people to cancel and reschedule their flights for no fee. I don't know if they're all doing it at this point, but if the coronavirus thing is still a problem in May, I wouldn't be surprised if you could just reschedule easily, because people don't want people to be traveling and spreading this. People want people to be staying home and like keeping this stuff contained. You were talking to your friend about your embarrassing addiction. That's okay. And he pointed out you really needed a girlfriend. You hope it's not an essential though. You don't see yourself pulling that off. Having any sort of romantic partner, a boyfriend or girlfriend, is never a need. In fact, I wouldn't I wouldn't want to date someone who felt like they had to date me. It wouldn't feel good to me, just in the way that I couldn't ever really open myself up to a relationship with someone if I was coming from a place of like, oh my God, I need them to do these things for me, and like, oh my God, because I'd be more focused on my need than I would be on like being a partner to that person. There's an element of when you're needy, you're not desirable. And when you can take it or leave it is when you become more attractive to another person. And that has to do with space. I want to be in a relationship with somebody who's holding space for me to be who I am, who is looking to understand me as a person and see if our lives fit together. And I'm looking for the same. Whereas if someone's coming at this from like, oh, I need a girlfriend, and I guess you're good enough, you'll do, will you date me? It doesn't feel good. So I know it's going to be really, really hard. It's not easy, but I would look for other ways to get that need met. And then if you want us to look for a girlfriend, like totally, totally great. But then you're not trying to enter a relationship from a place of I need this, then you're able to be more relaxed and more open and honest and giving and all those good things when you don't need the relationship, when it's just something you want, right? So that would be what I have to say in response to what your friend said. Yeah, it's yeah. Because like what kind of woman wants to date a man who's putting himself out there more than he's physically able to because he feels like he needs it? Probably not someone you actually want to be in a relationship with. Let's put it that way. I don't know. What do you think about that? It's a hard topic for me to talk about. Oh, that's an interesting thing. Your doctor told you CFS patients are less likely to get symptoms from coronavirus because your immunity is in alert mode all the time. It's on high alert. It's looking for potential threats and mitigating potential threats much more quickly, it sounds like. Yeah, Lisa, you're not going out as much. You're in a much better place than most people. Yeah, we talked about coronavirus for the first time, I guess, a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I don't know. How long has it been? And I live in Philadelphia, and they keep talking about when is it coming to Philadelphia, and I think it's like 5 to 7 weeks out. It's kind of like hit Philadelphia and be a thing. There's been a couple reported cases of potential coronavirus, but I guess it wasn't. I'm not worried about it, partly because I work from home right now, so I don't get out very often, so I'm definitely more isolated. My boyfriend works from home most of the time, so he's only a couple days a week he's out being around people, and even then he's not around a ton of people, like maybe like 5 to 10 people in a day. So I don't know. We're in an apartment building though, so like everybody in the building goes through the same lobby, and that can be a place where germs get shared, or the elevators. I don't know. What I'm doing is just trying to keep myself healthy like I always do, really prioritizing sleep, because sleep is one of the biggest things to help your immune system. If you're worried about getting sick, make sure you're sleeping well and you're getting high quality sleep when you do sleep. That is going to be amazing for your immune system. More than like any supplement or anything like that, sleep is going to help you the most. So really prioritize sleep. And I am stocking up on extra food. I'm ordering extra food when I order my groceries right now, just to keep the pantries full. Just in case, we do enter a situation where we're not supposed to leave for a couple weeks. But other than that, like, if it happens, it happens. I'm not worried about getting it myself because I'm young and healthy. I would not want to get it because I wouldn't want to put other people at risk. I would hate to be the person who passes this to an elderly person or, someone who's at higher risk than I am. That's really what I would be concerned about. And I don't have to be concerned about that until, if I ever get it. So, Rough. Yeah, you wouldn't know what to do with a girlfriend. Even talking for an hour on the bed is exhausting. I know. I know. I mean, I've had I've had two relationships through severe chronic fatigue. The first one I talked about earlier today, and then another one. I had recently started that relationship when I had my first relapse, and this guy stayed with me, but I could feel how my health issues were hurting our relationship. I could see when the doubt started to sink in about what was really going on. How sick was I really? And he would never really cop to that. He never really owned up to his disbelief, but I could see it. I could feel it. It was, yeah, it was pretty uncomfortable. And it was just one of the many cracks in that relationship. And it did eventually end. Oh, Jamie, you did get, that's a great story to share. You did get with your partner when you were sick 5 years ago. No idea what she was interested in as you were wrecked back then. Are you willing to share like how you guys met or like how you started a relationship while you were ill? Because it is really hard. It does take energy and time to put into a relationship. So like, how did you create that kind of connection with someone while you were ill? I'd love to hear about it, Jamie, if you feel comfortable sharing. If you don't, it's totally okay. Yeah, you accept that in the end, her relationship with you was her choice. It is. And she can leave at any time she wants, but she hangs around. She probably wouldn't say she hangs around. I'm going to guess she'd give us some good reasons why she's really happy being with you, Jamie. And that's, it sounds like you weren't coming across as needy then. It sounds like you were just being you. And I'm personally most curious about how did you have the conversation about your health issues the first time? Like, how did that come up? How did she react? Because that's something I've had to do. I mean, gosh, the guys I've dated since then, I always make it a point to like share my health history. And I was like, I really don't think I'm going to relapse, but who knows, I could. Or, sometimes I just want people to know what made me who I am today. Some people I want people to understand that I wasn't always this person I am today. And that, I really owe it to my health issues and my recovery journey to who I am today, the happier, healthier person that I am. Yeah, we want to hear your answers, Jamie. No pressure though. Lisa, you got with your current husband, who you recently married, a year and a half before you got sick. You were in your upper 40s, low 50s, and he's diabetes, and you get along great. You support each other. So it does kind of help when someone else has like a chronic health condition they're having to manage. It gives you a little more empathy for each other, going both ways. So I can see how that could be like a little extra supportive and helpful, Lisa. Can't imagine being 20 or 30 trying to find a partner while being sick. It is hard, and it is a little soul crushing. Just a little. Maybe Jamie's feeling shy about this, and that's okay. Let me see. Any more questions? Oh, here we go. Oh, we are getting some answers from Jamie. You went for coffee and it just went from there. It was just, you were just straight with her from the get-go, to be honest. So you just met and like your personalities meshed and like there was just like instant attraction and like all those like fireworks and, love at first sight kind of thing is what it sounds like. I mean, those stories are always nice. Most of my stories haven't been like that. My current relationship is like that though. It was very much like from our first date. We were really into each other. And we really tried to take it slow. We really tried not to rush into things. But those feelings, when they're there, they're there. Gooey. No, it's real. It's love. It's essential. It's part of life. And maybe it's okay if it's a little gooey. Chocolate can be gooey and chocolate's good. Caramel can be gooey. What else can be gooey? Well, let's not have that conversation. Yes, love. Love, love, love. Love is so healthy too. I mean, like that feeling of love is so in the realm of parasympathetic dominance and rest and digest and healing. I mean, it's great. It's definitely helpful to be in that. And if you don't feel that love for another person, what can be really helpful, and I had to work really hard on this. It wasn't easy for me, was to learn how to live in self-love. Like when I could sit there in front of a mirror and meditate with myself on the feeling of self-love and learn how to bring up that feeling of self-love for myself. It's really, really powerful. And like I said, it took me a lot of work to be able to do that, but I did that when I was single. I didn't have anyone in my, anyone romantically in my life that I was in love with at all when I was working on those things. And I think it prepared me to be in a truly loving relationship by really learning how to lean into and become comfortable with my own self-love. And it's also really great for parasympathetic nervous system dominance. So the more you can get into self-love and just spend time feeling that feeling and seeing yourself and looking at yourself the way you want someone else to look at you, it's incredible. In fact, I'm sitting here thinking I need to get back into doing that. I could use a little more self-love these days. Because life has been pretty stressful. Work has been pretty stressful. Not in a bad way. Like I invite all of this. I choose all of this. But I could use a little extra parasympathetic dominance in my life. And self-love could be a really great way to do that. In fact, I think I'm going to do that right after this is done. Yeah. That's great. You guys had such a chill beginning to the relationship, like hanging out, watching Netflix, talking all the time, listening to music. Netflix and chill. You got a cat and you faff over him far too much. It's funny. I never use the word faff. Food. She's Italian, so lots of good food. So it sounds like she cooks. That's fun when someone cooks. Yeah, lovely when someone cooks. Oh. Yeah, that kitty cat enjoyed it. The right cat loves attention. Most cats love attention. There's no enduring. They revel in it. They're like, yes, please. So Roth, I know I'm saying it wrong, but we're going with that for now. Yeah, if you can lean more into self-love, it's like you're going to start producing your own oxytocin from just loving who you are. If you can spend a little bit of time doing that, it's really uncomfortable and super weird and so bizarre at first, but if you keep working on it and keep opening yourself up to it and keep allowing that sense of self-love to grow, it's going to help you with your oxytocin. It's going to help you with healing because it's going to get you into parasympathetic nervous system dominance. It's going to help prepare you for when you are in a relationship. Like the more you love yourself, the easier it is for someone else to love you too. And the easier it is for you to truly love someone else when you love yourself too. Like it just, from my own experience, it makes everything in life better. Yeah, Jamie, yeah, that seems to be how a lot of really good relationships happen. It's just when you don't expect it, when you're not looking for it, there it is. So Ralph, I know that's not a very hopeful way to look at it, but in the meantime, just focus on you. Do you make this everything you can make it. Focus on that healing journey. Focus on looking for the right doctor, getting the right blood work and supplements and treatments in place, and get yourself ready for that woman when she does come along. That's all we can do. I was 34 before I found my guy. I'm old. But here he is, and it only came after 10 years of insane health issues and recoveries and all the stuff I've talked about. So we don't get to decide when it happens. We just all we can do is prepare ourselves for when it's here. It's easy to look at something as a magic bullet. It's like, oh, this is the thing that'll make things better. There really aren't magic bullets. There really aren't magic bullets. All right, awesome. Any other questions or any other contributions today? I'll keep this open if you guys want to keep chatting. I have a chicken in the oven right now, even though it's the middle of the afternoon. If I don't cook it now, it's not going to get cooked. So I'll be like my late afternoon snack. We'll be snacking on a chicken and some crispy chicken skin. But I have some time before I need to take that out of the oven. All right. Well, it seems like things have come to a natural pause in the conversation. So I'm going to take this opportunity to end it here. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you for your time. I always love it when you guys are here and chatting with each other and with me in the chat box. It becomes a really, really wonderful time when we get to communicate like this. As a reminder, there is a private Facebook group. It's going to be in the description of this video. After it ends, you should be able to refresh the page and get to see the video description. And then you can request to join the Facebook group. And it's really just, I don't post a ton in there. I post in there like once a week and just check in and like share some information or say how you doing. And I really created it as a place for you guys to connect more often during the week if you want that kind of thing. And yeah, we'll join this again next week at 1 p.m. Eastern, same time. So I will see you then. Okay, bye guys, sending you love and health. I'm Kristin. Bye, it was fun. Good vibes to all.